I'm in the Army Reserves, and I've been in for almost 14 years. Um, in the spring of 2023, I left for TDY, and I started having an affair with somebody that I met during training.
Mm-hmm.
The affair went past training. It was a long-distance affair. Like, the physical part was pretty much over, but the emotional part stayed. And about 5 to 6 months into it, I felt terrible for what I was doing. So I set my husband down and I told him everything. And things have just kind of been on the rocks ever since, as you can imagine. I immediately started therapy, and I'm still in therapy. And through therapy, I realized that, I've never been faithful in a single relationship I've ever been in. Most of my relationships I've ever been in have never been faithful to me either. And I now attend sex addiction anonymous meetings on Saturday mornings. And I just need to know if, after a year and a half of being on the rocks with my husband, and my husband's back and forth on if he wants to stay, if he wants to try to work it out, and he's back and forth on it. And about 2-3 weeks ago, he finally came out and said that he wanted a divorce, which was the opposite in which I thought things were going. I thought things were getting better. And since then, things seem to be calm between us. He's still in the house. He says he's not actively looking for a place to go. He hasn't talked to a lawyer. Have I messed up too much? I don't. Is my marriage? Can I save this? Can I fix this? I realized too that going to therapy, that I grew up closer to my mom's side of the family, and everybody on that side of the family, including my grandparents, all of my aunts and uncles, and even my own mother, have had multiple children by multiple partners, multiple affairs, and I just don't want to be this way anymore. We have a soon-to-be 3-year-old. I don't know what to do.
I think you were telling me that. How often have you said all of that out in a row in a line like that?
To your producer.
Not very often, yeah. How long have you been married?
7 years.
Okay.
It'll be 7 years this year.
Okay. And tell me about who you married.
Excuse me?
Tell me about who you married.
He's wonderful. In fact, right now I'm really struggling with figuring out why I did what I did. And honestly, it's not the first time, and he knows about the other times as well. It seems like every time I've acted out, every time I've done this, I've been perfectly happy. He's great. He's a very kind-hearted man.
How many times have you cheated on him?
A total of 3 times. The 2 other times was before we got married.
So why do you want to stay married to him?
Because I am inspired by him. I want to be like him. He's such a good person. And he comes from such a good family. And, I've told him this before, my happiest memories that I have been with him. And yeah, I don't want to leave that. I truly feel like he is good for me. I just know that I haven't been very good to him.
Yeah. That's a hard pill to swallow, right?
Yeah. Yes.
I can feel your I can feel your shoulders up around your ears. Drop them for me.
Yeah.
Drop them for me. So it usually catches people off guard when they find out that many, many, many affairs happen inside of what would be classified as good or fine marriages. And the way you talked about him was really instructive. It's kind of where my head was going. And I feel like you confirmed it, but I don't want to say confirmed because that sounds like it's in concrete. And I always want to leave some space to be wrong. But you haven't liked you for a long, long time. And what I mean by that is there's that sense of I want to feel in my body, in my chest, what my head knows to be true. And when you have that gap, you seek thrills, you seek out-of-body experiences, you seek, the words I use on the show all the time, are you seek some sense of feeling alive. Training weekends with the reserves will do that for you. A year deployment will do that with you. Laughing and flirting and being one of like the cool girls with the foul mouth who can like hang with the guys when you're out like in the woods for six weeks, and nobody's showering and you're kind of the cool girl. Like all that happens, right? But it's a sense of I want to belong here. And then you get back home, I want to belong here. And you get around your family, I want to belong here. And that lack of rootedness is you trying to find a place where somebody will look at you and say, I'm glad you're here. I love you. You're worth being here. But you're trying to get it out externally and not internally. Here's the challenge. When I asked you why you want to stay married to him, you talked about him as though he is a really important medication for you. I like being with him. He makes me better. He has a good family. Nowhere did I hear you say, I love him.
I mean, I do.
I know. But the question I want you to ask yourself is, do you love the benefits he gives you? Or are you all in? Because when he's not with you and he can't give you those benefits, you don't have that feeling of security. You go searching for it somewhere else because you're unanchored.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
You probably get that at home. You've probably been unanchored for a while because it sounds like you were raised by unanchored people. And in chaos, fair?
Yeah. Off and on, yeah.
Here's the sucky thing about therapy and all that. Going and figuring it out, like why it all happened, awesome. The fact that you're going to SA meetings, awesome. I'm proud of you for doing that work. Here's the thing, though. You can't cheat. And there doesn't always have to be a why. There doesn't have to be a reason. There has to be, like, the idea that you're going to be with somebody and never attracted to somebody, never wondering what it would be like to be with somebody else, that's nuts. That's everybody. And regardless of how you were raised, what happened when you were a kid, regardless of, like, you can make a choice. I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's good to go to therapy. It's good to figure out what's going on. It's like, how do I connect my heart and my head? All that stuff is awesome and good. I'm so glad you're doing that work. But somewhere in the last year and a half, it sounds like this guy is wild, crazy about you. But I'm wondering if he just exhaled and said, but I can't anchor in. 3 times in 7 years, 3 times in 8 years is too much.
Yeah.
So you asked me, can you save your marriage? 100%. Y'all can. You can't. And I have you sat down and said, hey, you said this really heavy thing a few weeks ago? I need to know where you are.
Not yet.
Okay.
I'd like to. I'm really scared to right now.
I know, and you're making yourself crazy.
Yeah.
I would want to know, was he testing that out to see what that felt like to say out loud?
I don't know.
Or is
I don't know.
is he assuming you're going to quote unquote do the right thing and you're going to go move out because you're the one that blew everything up? Like I would want to know, like, where are you at this? Or he said it and he realized, no, I don't want that, but I don't know what to do next, and I don't want to be a cuckold on my own house, but also I love her, but also she's the mother of my child, and also she's done this 3 times, so of course she's going to do it again. Like all those things, you see what I'm saying? Like it's just a loop, and the only way that loop stops is if somebody stops it. Or let me say this. Let me say it more directly. You not bringing this up only confirms it. It doesn't protect you from anything. It just prohibits you from the possibility of the good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I've been living on eggshells for the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Have you looked at him in the eye and said, I will never cheat on you again?
Yes.
And have you said, nothing in my past would suggest you should trust me on that?
No, okay. I haven't said that.
Because you probably said, I won't cheat on you ever again the first time you did, and then the second time you did, and then he married you, and then it happened again, and it was this half a year. It was a long time.
I've said before, like, before when I've said this, I had this feeling of like, you know, I hope I don't cheat on you again. I hope this doesn't happen again. But now, having gone through a year and a half of therapy and a year and a half of SAA, I actually feel confident. I'm actually leaving the Army. I don't think the Army is a healthy place for me to be in.
Awesome. Okay, so that was going to be one of my next steps. What have you put on the table that says, I'm willing to go to the ends of the earth to reestablish trust here, and look at him and say, what do you need? You want me to get out of the Army? Done. We share bank accounts? Done. You want my phone passwords and all my email passwords? I'm canceling social media? Done. Like, yeah. And it has to be, he gets to detail the map. What would it take?
Yeah. Yeah.
But there's something about you looking at him and saying, you're my guy. And yes, you make me a better person, but forget all that crap. I want you. And I've blown everything up. And so you taking another risk on me is literally insane, because it's you doing the same thing over and over again, hoping for a different outcome. And I'm asking you to be insane one more time.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really, because if he chooses to stay with you, that doesn't make any sense. Because if he were to call me, I would say, hey, bro, listen, forget about what she says. Behavior's a language. What's different? How is she acting? And maybe he'd be able to say, for the first time in her life, she's in therapy. She's actually dealing with this maniacal past she grew up in. She's getting out of these environments. She is committed here at the house. She is asking me on a day-to-day basis, how can I love you? We do a budget meeting together just so we align where we want to go together.
The past year and a half, there's lots of things I've wanted to do like that, but because he's been 1 foot in and 1 foot out, I feel like he's not committed, and therefore I feel like I can't ask him those questions.
Flip it around, dude. He's hanging on for dear life. Of course he's not committed. You shot a hole in the boat. You get what I'm saying? Like, just think of it. Y'all are flying. Y'all on a raft going down whitewater rapids of life, and you shot 3 holes in the boat. Of course, he has to have a foot out, and a foot in another boat, making sure he doesn't drown. And so what you have to do is present him with a new boat and say, both of my feet are in, and I don't have a gun anymore. And this sounds elementary or prohibitive, if you will, because the world tells you and the world tells me right now, our entire culture is you do what you feel like. And if you feel like sleeping with somebody else, then your marriage is broken. That's nonsense.
Yeah.
The world says
it's not true.
If you feel dead inside, Or you're having a season, you're in a low season when it's cold outside, you don't want to do anything, you're away from home for 6 months, just have your fun because life's short. That's nonsense. It's insanity. And so you have to be able to demonstrate to him when I'm starting to feel that feeling inside, like I need a spark, I need something to get lit up, that you and I have a path, that we do this together. And you just have to hold space. He might look at you and say, I told you, I'm out. And if that's the case, then y'all need to quickly move towards, as adults, a resolution here. Him dropping that grenade in the house and then just moving like the pin's not pulled that's not noble either, right? Or let me phrase it this way. He doesn't get to do that. He doesn't get to respond to somebody blowing up his life immaturely. If he's going to get divorced, cool. Then let's deal with papers. Let's figure out housing arrangements. Let's figure out co-parenting stuff, and let's move on with our lives. But dangling that over the house is not good. But yes, he has had one foot out of the boat, and I would be with him on that one. That's been a tough go. And maybe even just using the analogy I just gave you. Hey, I shot a hole in our boat that was our life. So tonight, sit down and walk back. Tell him I blew the boat up. And I've got a brand new boat here. I've done 1.5 years worth of work. I've got a pen and a blank yellow pad. Got my codes here. Delete whatever you want me to delete. I'm getting out of the army. I'm getting out of these spaces. What must be true? Will you give me a path back to earning your trust back? And I'll make that commitment, minute by minute, hour by hour, week by week. Or you said you want a divorce. If you want a divorce, then I want us to go down that path then, because living in this ambiguity is going to electrify our daughter. It's going to electrify both of us, and nobody wins here. So I'll say this, I honor you for calling and just putting it all out there, and for being self-reflective and owning where you've blown things up and being able to look back in your rearview mirror and see how you come from a long line of people who have done this. And it may be that your redemption story is not inside this relationship. And if this relationship ends, that doesn't mean that the next person you marry, the next person you're with, that you are still a person who never cheats, period. And for you, that means I'm never going to put myself even in a situation, which means I don't have any way for people to get in touch with me where I don't have overnight 6-month camping trips, even when it's on deployment, because I have proven to myself that I get low and I do things that I regret. It's a matter of putting yourself in environments where you can be successful.